All right.
Which G.I. Joe does Brad look like today?
I think we're live. We're good.
Jean-Paul Gaultier, G.I.
Yeah. Hey. Hey, welcome to a special Halloween edition of Massive Chalice. This is Teamstream number 9. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brad Muir. I'll be your host.
Spooky host.
Spooky. It's not really that spooky, right?
That's true.
I do, just a jaunty sailor. That's all.
Jaunty's the word.
Jaunty, is that right? Yeah? Is that the word you would use?
Yes.
Hey, I'm joined by Anthony Vaughn over here on the Wheels of Steel.
The angel.
Say that, the angel Anthony Vaughn, yes. We've got a dead John Swisshelm behind me. And then on the couch, on red couch over here.
What is that?
I've got art director Andy Wood. Hello, welcome back. And we've also got our intern Frederick Storm. Hey Frederick, you haven't been on one of these before.
Nope.
Hey, all right. So Frederick's been doing a bunch of modeling for us, and I thought we could jump right into this.
Also creating art.
Show Blue Steel.
Also creating art. So I thought we could jump right into this. We've had a big push over the last couple weeks to model out the heads for the male and female characters of the game, and I thought we could go through and talk about these because you did a ton of variations of these, and we've been going back and forth on them and everything. And Andy, do you want to talk about the process here and like what, I don't know.
What are we going to show? Are we going to show?
Well, I thought we would just show
these three for the female.
I thought we would show these 3 for the female. We have a bunch of different angles of them as well.
Okay.
But these are kind of the 3 that we settled on. But I don't know if you could just talk about the process of making these and the choices that we're making and things like that.
Well, I guess it took us a long time to get here. We did a lot of variations on trying to simplify the shapes in the face, make it readable, make the young and the prime and the old faces look as if they're all the same person. Trying to figure out a way to interchange hair so that we can vary things. Am I missing anything? I think that was the main stuff.
That sounds good. That sounds good. It's also a lot of these. You guys talk a lot about the planes of the face.
Right.
So if you can see like these, like this right here, if you change this kind of plane of the cheek and where this break happens, like there were a bunch of variations that you guys had that were just slightly different. Like if you just change where that break happens or the angle of that, it completely changes the like makeup of the face.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we kept finding that robot line where they started to look a little bit.
The
dead.
robot line. It's actually right here. that was one that really did it, right?
Was, yeah.
If you had a break, especially on the female, right in between the eyes, it did take on a more like robotic quality.
Yeah.
And then
the other side of that was smoothing it out too much, and then it just looked like low poly.
Right.
But not deliberate low.
Right, and that I remember that was a real challenge with the young female head, like making sure that it had enough planes to actually fit the style, but that it wasn't like super rounded and smooth. We'll jump to the male one real fast. So this is the male one.
Right, you can see
awesome.
on the
they
prime,
really are.
the guy
They're
in the
awesome.
center.
I love these.
Yeah, the one in the center, in particular, some of those new lines and cuts that Frederick's been putting in there are pulled straight from that Mike Mignola stuff that we like so much.
And that's especially the kind of these the pointy cheekbones, I guess, like that kind of are super cool. And then they get more pronounced as you go into the old age. And then I think this is really interesting how it's like, even though everything is very sharp and polygonal, this really suggests a droopiness, of the dude.
Yeah, and we also the nose and the ears are a little bit bigger on the old models.
Yep.
Like your nose and ears keep growing, so.
That's kind of depressing that everyone's going to end up with giant ears.
Or cool, depending on how.
Or cool, or really cool. And then also, I feel like we've done a lot of like looking at them from this top-down 3/4 perspective to make sure that like all they're reading well and all that.
Yeah, and that's why that robot line and this line is so important because of that camera view.
Yeah. Frederick, do you want to say anything about actually, like modeling them? What was your process for this? You were doing them in ZBrush first?
Yeah, we started out in ZBrush, making some really high poly sculpts. It was like in the early beginning, just exploring different things. We had these Russian statues that had some really cool planes that we wanted to kind of hit.
Yep, we've definitely shown people those.
Yeah. And that they were they were a huge inspiration. Then trying to hit that in ZBrush, and then later just took it into Maya and see how I could just lay out the big polygons so it would look good, and then guide the shadows with the hard edges and soft edges. So that's
Sweet.
basically this.
So yeah, so we're in the process of getting these in the game now on the characters so that we can see like how it's reading. Also rigging them up so that we can do some tests around the eyes and the mouth. Like our hero characters aren't going to speak, but you know, having them make expressions like during combat, how important is that going to be? I don't know. But we're going to do a couple of tests to just see.
We're going to do some
like,
tests.
Yeah, see how.
Mostly in the brow and around the mouth.
Yep. Cool. So, got any questions from the chat about this?
Yeah, it's a lot of like everyone's digging the low poly characters. But I can, if you guys want to do a little more exploration on those or talk about those, I can ask the guys for questions so they
Okay,
can,
yeah.
because we're a little bit ahead of them because of the lag on the stream.
Oh, right.
Any questions for Frederick or Andy? Yeah, a couple shout outs to Frederick. They really look great, man. They're super rad.
Cool.
Someone is convinced they've seen that middle male head on a Discovery Channel show. That I think that's a thumbs up. You know, like some sort of like mountain man. You know, like I eat the stomachs of squirrels.
That
or
dude
something.
does look like he could totally be like one of those Bear Grylls
Yeah.
style Survivor Man dudes, just in the woods,
Yeah.
eating bugs,
Yeah, exactly.
eating grubs.
So CR30S, I don't know how to pronounce that. He asks, or she asks, can you export your ZBrush file to rig it in Maya? Is that how you do this? I mean, I know rigging is not quite happening yet, but is that typically the process you guys go through?
Well, the poly count's a lot lower,
Yeah.
so we just build the Maya mesh from the ZBrush mesh.
Yeah, it's like you take the high poly into Maya or whatever program you use, retopologize it, which is like creating a low poly version that can actually be used, and that's it.
This
So
is
you need
awesome.
to
I actually
edit it a
don't know
little
how.
bit.
I don't actually don't know how this works. But so that's a button in Maya.
No,
You'd be like retopologize, boom,
Well-
and then you got to clean it up afterwards, or
No,
like
you do it from scratch mostly.
okay, you
Unfortunately.
you do it yourself. You do it. It's like
so
a
you
hand process.
rebuild it completely.
Okay.
But on top, it's like you use it as a
as like a guide.
yeah.
You're like
guide.
okay.
Yeah.
And Frederick, a couple things like you and I, like you've made it clear to me talking with you about this process. Like recently, with some of the newer stuff with Maya and some third parties have used, it's made it easy to go back and
Yeah,
forth
yeah,
because
yeah.
you might want to edit the high poly one, then go back and then go back to the
It's way easier now. There's
That's
a button
cool.
in ZBrush that's just like, and then it sends it back and forth. So that's pretty
Cool.
very
pretty easy that
awesome.
You can edit it.
Davey Blight asks, have the artists looked at Philippe Faro's planar sculptures? I'm not familiar with that guy, but
I have not, but
I'll
I
send
will
you guys an
now.
email. Maybe you can check it out.
Yeah, sounds awesome. How do you spell that? We'll do a Google search on it right now with Safe Search on.
Right now.
Save, good call. So
Philippe,
PHIL.
did I hit too many
Philippe.
L's and P's?
Yeah, and then the FARAUT.
FAR what?
AUT.
AUT.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it? Why is that thing there? Okay.
Oh,
Oh, sweet.
What? That's pretty intense.
Cool.
We'll have to take a look at this. This is awesome.
Look at that beard.
Where? This beard?
Kinda crazy
Oh
Poseidon.
man,
Oh
dude!
man.
I wish I could grow a crazy Poseidon beard. I would totally do it.
You gotta just
I
give
would
it time.
totally do
You know,
it.
you could probably do
Yeah?
it.
It takes a while.
Give it
Some
enough
straight there.
I guess I better get started, guys. All right, and that's all the time we have
Poseidon
for
is
today.
basically
I'll
immortal.
Growing beard.
I'll be growing my beard. Okay, sweet. Hey, thanks for that. That
There
seems
he
like
is
a
sculpting them.
really cool reference. We'll check that stuff out. All right, awesome.
Very
I think
cool.
We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
Frederick, could you go summon Derek Brand?
will do.
And we're gonna look at some environment stuff.
I'll go grab it.
Oh.
You got it.
I go. Okay, sweet.
You know what? It wouldn't be a Teamstream if shit wasn't horribly disorganized.
Yeah. It's authentic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave this.
Would you say basically, Brad, that we keep it real on these teams?
I mean, we try.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't either.
So one of the big things we've done, one of the last, the last two remaining things that we identified over the last couple weeks, environments and also UI. So we tackled environments first, and we have a bunch of stuff to show. But I thought that I would talk about our process. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. I really should have prepared for this. You know. I could have prepped for this. I could have done a better job, you guys. Sorry.
I'm an angel. I'll.
You'll allow it?
Yeah.
You'll allow it? Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
So we had a big brainstorming meeting, and I can't remember if I put this up on the web or not. But we had a huge brainstorming meeting.
If you want.
And our or you can just wear the spider. That's totally fine. That's totally fine.
Spider or Mike.
What?
Spider or Mike.
Spider or Mike? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. You should have a mic as well. Okay, we're almost done with the transition. That's great. Anyway, we had this big brainstorming session about environments, and it was a little vague, like, because I'm not really sure what they should be, and it was pretty open-ended. The real goal was that, like, we wanted to not have just like earthly environments that are just like 100% kind of average, mundane sort of things that you would see walking around, Earth. And then on the far end, we also wanted to avoid the like incredibly crazy fantasy environments. And I feel like, and people are like, well, what do you mean? What do you want to avoid? Fire World, Ice World, Giant Mushroom Land,
Yeah.
Crystal Castle, Ice Forest. I don't know. There were just like all of these like ideas that I feel like you see in a lot of fantasy games. Because we're trying so hard to avoid like orcs and elves and a lot of the tropes and kind of cliches you see in other fantasy games. So it was like, hey, like let's try to avoid them in our environments as well. So we had. So this is just largely just a transposed list of all of the things that we came up with that we're trying to take like a real world environment and then either use it for inspiration or like put a twist on a real world environment. One of the ones that stood out right away to us is that somebody had this cool idea of like, what if you had a flash dried ocean? Yeah, so it's a desert, but all of the plant life and the rocks and stuff like look like they should belong underwater. Mm-hmm. So we definitely like decided to mock that one up. There was this Dead Sea. Somebody posted about this in the forums as well, but it went around work. About what was it? Do you guys remember this? It was like
It was the alkaline thing that Paul
yeah,
found.
yeah. Paul
that's right.
sent it around to
Yeah.
us, and it's totally crazy.
Eastern
it's like
Europe,
this,
right?
It's
Yeah.
like this
In
sea
South America, I think.
that
That
has
was close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all this, the alkalinity of the water is like crazy, where it just kills animals.
Yeah.
And then
They're all
kind of
desiccated and
calcifies.
mummified.
Oh, that's right. It almost like mummifies them out.
Yeah.
And it was this artist that was taking these weird mummified animals and posing them near the lake. Super creepy. He was posing them near the lake and then taking these really stunning photographs of them, like as if they were still alive. It was really, really weird. It's totally awesome, and that I found that like hugely inspirational. There was a lot of this like the rice paddy stuff, Romanesco forest. I thought that was awesome. It has such a weird
Sounds like an olive oil maker.
Romanesco forest. Yeah,
Extra
come with
virgin.
us to the
Yeah.
Romanesco forest. These termite towers are really cool too. Like that was a pretty cool thing that I'd never seen. Termites build these big like mud. Are they mud? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
They
so.
have to be.
They're like these crazy structures that termites will build like out in the middle of nowhere. It's super weird. So just all sorts of like Bloodwater Rapids. Nobody knows what that means. That's a bit brutal legend for it. So we just took this and I kicked it over to Andy. We highlighted the ones that we really liked. Andy came up with just some like kind of loose colors, kind of based off of the ideas and things like that, and just threw them into the document. And then was the reference in here? It was not in here.
No.
That's totally okay. But and then Andy went out and collected a ton of reference, and then Derek started drawing some things.
The world map.
World map. I think we should start there. That's probably great. Thanks for putting that in here because it's awesome.
Yeah.
So Andy made this.
I love this. This is cool.
And let me zoom in on it because I feel like it's a little bit hard to see.
Yeah, it's a bit big.
So
I've been-
this is
I've been
cool.
taking
If we
pointers from
zoom
Derek.
way in on it, what?
I said it's a bit of a big document. I've been taking pointers from Derek. He tends to work on
Huge things. Yeah. It's like you've got all that computing
They're all
power.
like
You might as well put it
50
to use.
megapixels. Every time you ask him to send you a document, it's like a 53 meg Photoshop file.
So this was taking our original strategic map and we've got it cut up into these 6 regions, and it was kind of talking about like, oh yeah, like what could these different regions be? And this was like, I thought this was awesome because you were taking like, let's just look at this one for example. This was Zone 6, and you were just picking out some really cool reference. And so this was like really cool succulents. These like desert succulents or something.
Yeah, I think so.
They have really rad colors, and it was like, check these out, like whatever, mixed with some of this like highland desert, kind of cold desert stuff. and it's like becoming a really cool sort of color palette. We were also doing these like initial sort of shapes. So these could be shapes that would go into the textures of the environments, the stuff,
the mesh,
the
and
Animal
the
Crossing
plants
stuff,
and-
and then
yeah.
have it go into the rocks and the actual like textures, and then like kind of it just be like a thematic shape for the whole thing. And then also doing these like I love these. These are like what do trees look like? What is the sort of structure, super simple structure of the trees, and this is kind of like a cactus for this.
So that would go all the way through the plants, like right down to the branches of the shrubs, all the way up to the size of the trees.
Yeah, and it's a super cool way of having like shape language go throughout an entire environment, just like by using some of these like really basic shapes. And then these color palettes are awesome. And this one is super rad. I really like this one. I think that a lot of this stuff kind of ended up in the tidal pool desert thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Which is really cool. But we basically did that, took some of our favorite ideas and favorite reference. And so Zone 5 is like this weird like sulfurous hot springs. And this is really cool. It's kind of like a black beach. It's like, is that what it is? It's like basalt and
volcanic black sand.
Yeah, that's been like pulverized into sand, and it's super awesome and weird looking. The whole rice paddies look I thought was really cool, and we found some really cool reference, like this one, and I don't know, just some really stunning reference. And also I like how both of these images like have really drastically different color palettes, but they have the same kind of rice paddy feeling to them. Super awesome.
And those are photos, right?
Yep.
That's what's insane
Yeah,
about
isn't
that.
that shocking? I thought they were paintings at first, but like those
So
are just like
crazy.
real world places. Oh, and I would say that's another thing that we tried to do was like there was a lot of stuff that was posted on the forums, and a lot of suggestions from people were like from really weird looking real world locations, and I feel like that strikes a nice balance between like normal everyday environments and ultra fantasy environments. If you find like weirdest place on earth is maybe striking a nice balance between like the really mundane and the really like kind of out there stuff.
Right, and it's worth pointing out that this is where we start, right?
Yeah.
We're not just going to make that.
Right.
But we're going to start from there and turn it into something
That's a really
else.
good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. For all of these, it was just like here's sort of like a collection of cool looking stuff, and then we can use that as like the launching point.
Right.
Zone 3 was like this really like mangroves, and we have some more stuff to show about mangroves, the way that we're thinking about it. And how it could apply to the game, but this is like a cooler color palette. It's super awesome. These birch trees in this zone, like this is a super awesome, very striking, very graphic as well, which is super like I think really fitting for the game. And then having the evergreen trees and pine stuff up here, and again the different like the birch trees over here, and then like the pine trees up here. Just having those like different shapes, and I don't know, this was super awesome and super helpful for Derek. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Putting words in your mouth. It was super helpful, wasn't it, Derek?
It was very helpful.
Okay. So sweet. And then where do you want to go next from this? We've got a bunch of stuff to go through.
Wow.
That's a good question. I guess. Sure, we could. How about the ruin stuff? That's
Ruins.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, I love that image at the top.
Sweet.
That is rad.
So this is an idea that I don't know who had this. It was not me.
This is Andy.
Andy's idea, which I really love, which is to take one of our keep maps and have the fight actually take place kind of on top of the keep, where the keep is like down in a gorge and sort of off the negative space of the map, or in the negative space of the inside of the map. You actually see that's the castle. You're like fighting on top of the castle.
Yeah.
Super awesome, and also
It's away from the camera.
yeah, it's away from the camera, which is fantastic. Like I think a lot of these ideas, we have to sort of take the environment ideas that we have, and take all of their height and like invert it or crush it or change it, and you'll see that in the mangrove forest as well.
Yeah.
Trying to get those big trees like out of the way, and this is a way of like taking a big giant castle and getting it out of the way, but still being able to see it and appreciate
You
it
can
while
see
you're
the
like
whole thing and
while
check it
you're
out.
fighting.
And,
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's a super rad idea and awesome. And this was like more ruins, like again like fighting on the edge of the map and having a lot of cool stuff that's like off to the side. And stuff.
And like combining some of the environment reference that we were checking out in weird ways, like looking at how I think it's the Utah, the painted desert stuff.
Yeah.
The wave.
The waves,
The wave.
how the shapes those make, combining it with like the highland stuff. Trying to find. different shapes too.
Here's the second ruins one.
Oh yeah, that was more of like a corruption exploration. Like maybe corruption could look like this if it's on the map.
Yeah, and that led to a great discussion of like what does corruption look like when it's on the tactical map, and like.
Right. It's probably not going to look like that.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, like I don't know, we've largely been thinking about that as a strategic map concept, but it seems like if you go into like a highly corrupted area, you should probably have some signs of the corruption inside of it. Kind of depends on exactly how we end up doing the corruption on the strategic map. There might be a way to sort of like duck this one. I don't know. Because it is like coming up with a generic solution that would work across all of the levels might be really hard, but we'll check it out. There was the deserts here. Or what is this desert cave?
That's
one?
the final of the
That's
deserts.
the final one.
You can go to
Okay.
the deserts
So
one.
this deserts one. So this here, this was
Yeah.
the original stab at like the desert that has underwater plants in it.
Yeah.
And we did this one, and it's really cool, and the colors are really awesome. The only problem that we were having, especially this one here, is that it feels kind of Martian. It feels like a dude with a sword on Mars.
alien.
That's John Carter.
Yeah, John Carter.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no.
Spoiler.
Like this, and it's like somebody even brought up in our big brainstorming meeting. They were like, oh, so do you want the environments to feel alien? And I was like, no, I don't want them to feel alien. Like they should feel grounded and feel like pseudo realistic or whatever. And I think this is like, it's too alien. It's like it's really cool, but it just like this looks like a brain over here. This is awesome.
Yeah, they're-
little brain bush and like these weird spiky trees and stuff. And this one is amazing, but it still has this like, I expect like some weird alien creature that he's hunting to like come around the corner, and then it's like, I don't know. And then I don't know. There was just something that I had a really hard time putting my finger on what made this feel.
One of the thoughts on
so
those top
alien.
two was that, maybe it's just because it's too colorful. And so I took, on that one, I was like, okay, I'll just make everything less colorful.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of.
Screw the color. And it's like, man, but it still
There's
feels
still
alien.
something, yeah.
I think it's like these plants, the way that they,
Probably.
and man, I was, you remember this, I was completely in love with this idea.
It was your idea.
It was my idea, and it's terrible. It just doesn't work. They're like having the kelp that has like helium air bladders in it, so they stand up and they kind of wave around like they're underwater, and it's just like, it just looks like it's Martian. I don't know. So that one, and I didn't even know what to do. So how did you come up with the next idea? How did you save this great idea that I had ruined?
I went back to reference.
Okay. And that's this one, right?
Yeah.
And this
I
is
took-
fantastic.
I took a super hard look at that world map and like tried to really pull from the reference and try to just focus on making it more of a believable place, I guess.
Yeah, and it really comes across. So here's a bunch of the reference that you pulled. So this is all like kind of tidal pools, right? And I love the concept of like, what if you took a tidal pool and you just removed all the water and just filled it up with like more sand, and so it was like this sandy desert tidal pool area, and I think it looks really great. It looks not, it's lost a lot of its like alienness. It feels like a more believable place.
But a lot of those same colours are in there.
Right.
We're in those alien looking.
Yeah, which is totally insane, and I don't know why my brain accepts this one and it rejects the other one so hard, but that's art. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any like reasons? Because reasons? Like I
Because-
I like don't know. You know,
I think
it's just-
getting some more believable foliage in there, I think
Okay,
was
okay.
a big thing. Like they look
just
like
not as fantastic
real,
as some.
yeah, they look like real world plants kind of from a distance.
Yeah.
And they're not like giant discs or brain plants. you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And I just think this is really awesome. I'm like super into that one. What is this mud one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. This was a sweet idea for that. Taking some of those things from that lower left zone, and trying to work it up into like a mud geyser sort of.
Yeah,
place.
with like
I-
ruins that are sort of collapsing into the mud, and
It's super awesome. I really like that. And these, I love these tuning fork trees that Andy drew up, and I don't know, they just give it they're kind of fantastical, but like not so extreme, and they're like very stylized. Like I think they fit the art style very well.
Would you say they hit the right note?
I'd say they hit the right note. I would, yeah.
See what you did there.
Yes. Oh man.
That's what I'm hired
He's
for.
learning from you.
God help me.
It's the parrot. Okay, sweet. So that's like super awesome, and that's definitely on the table for thing. We definitely wanted to do mangroves. Wait, what is this rice paddy?
We don't have to look at that one.
Oh,
That was not a successful
The
pass.
cappuccino fields. They make me hungry for dessert. It's so delicious.
This is the dessert field. Definitely makes you feel like you want some Cool Whip on everything. So maybe not as successful, but we're gonna still mess around with it. The color palette of this is really striking and amazing.
Yeah, I love the reds there.
Yeah, it's great.
So
I
cool.
love those trees.
Yeah, amazing. There's some good, there's some good stuff in there, but they can't all be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we did some mangrove exploration because we really wanted to do have mangrove trees, and like that seems like a great environment. The giant mangrove roots are like, they feel kind of fantasy, but like not too much. They feel believable. But one of the things, like in this bottom left one, we were talking about trying to avoid the like, giant tree. Like, what if you spin this camera a couple rotations to the left?
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, we're gonna have to alpha out like this big wall of roots or the giant tree or whatever. So that seems like it might be a problem. So there were some ideas, especially this one. I think this was the image that we really liked, where it's like, oh, this is weird. You're like, it's almost like a bunch of, I don't know, like chopped off mangrove trees where it's just roots. It's just mangrove roots with like this flat kind of like greenery. It's almost like a canopy above a bunch of roots that you like run around and fight on. Which feels weird. Like, I don't know if I've seen that. It also gives us some really good stuff for the negative space of the map with all the roots coming out of it, and then have some water, a very believable map edge without having to put you in a box canyon, which is like really cool. And yeah, these colors are super cool, and that was awesome. I'm talking a lot about this. You got anything?
You're doing fine.
Hey, yeah?
It's good.
All right.
So there's a couple questions.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in.
We can totally take some questions. Well, I think we're almost at the end. We have a couple more things, but why don't we start taking some questions?
Yeah. So one is cool from Versta Callisto at Derek. Has he ever thought about coming back to SJSU and talking about concepting and painting for video games?
I could do that. I
Was it like 50 grand minimum retainer?
Yeah,
What's your notes? Yeah, there's something to think about.
At some point, I would like to do that.
Very cool.
I taught there a couple years ago.
Right on.
I guess it's been a couple years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I should come back.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
I would take that class.
Yeah, me too.
Feel it.
Oh yeah, fine. We'd be the clowns, I think.
What makes you say that?
Well, just saying. But let's be honest.
All right.
So Davey Blight asks, how did the team at Double Fine find and refine their art Bible / style guide process? That's kind of an ongoing thing for you guys, but I'd be curious on that too. Is there a formal thing for it? Is it just kind of like finding out what works and categorizing along the way, or do you have like a certain rigid process you guys go through?
It's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build it up. It's like layers.
One thing I've noticed is that it always starts with color like reference maybe from ideas, and then color exploration. It looks like after that.
Well, you've got to start from somewhere, and you might as well start from stuff that's easy to find, and then
Yeah.
just whittle it down and build on it. So, yeah.
Right on. Right on. And someone asked, I lost the user's name unfortunately. They ask a lot of the different areas we're looking at. Some like, how do you guys keep the color palettes separate? I mean, once you get past like art, like red, green, and blue, right? Like things there might be crossover. So how do you maintain keeping the looks just on a color level, like unique across these 5 different
From one region to the next.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit, and you can
go.
talk mostly because you've been doing more of it. But we talked a lot about having one kind of dominant or unique color that would live in a region, and the others maybe could be a bit more generic and a bit more shared. And if you look at the world map, the color kind of bleeds around. There aren't really hard edges. So there's kind of a handoff and a transition as you go around and around that's seamless. But each region has something of its own that's a bit unique.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just something we're gonna have to like really iterate on.
Yeah.
Like as we start kind of locking down what all of them are. And what the dominant shapes and the dominant colors and stuff are.
Yeah, because we want them to feel identifiable, right? When you go to a place, you want it to feel separate and unique, but still it has to live within the world and not be like Ice World, Fire World, Crystal, whatever, etc. and so forth.
Crystal World would still be sweet, just saying.
Why would you say that?
Because I'm not an artist and I would just ruin the look of this game is what I would do.
You would just put
We're gonna have
crystal forest
lava
in
and
it.
crystal
One's
forest.
filled with tiny hamburgers.
Yeah.
Man,
Yes.
Tiny Hamburger World sounds pretty good. There were a couple of other
White
other
Castle.
mangrove shots here, I believe. This one. So this is what we're thinking right now, and this is sort of like a style guide for the world builders as they go in there and start like building this up. So you have some examples of like small blockers and tall blockers and medium blockers. So those are the actual tiles that they're going to build, and then this is like what the pants of the level will look like, and these are like, yeah, I mean, this is just, they can just use this, and I mean, we rely on those dudes, like our actual 3D artists, to extrapolate a lot, right? We're not doing like model sheets for everything, like we don't have time for that.
Shit,
So-
I just noticed there's a spoiler in this pic.
There is a spoiler. Hopefully
yeah.
hopefully nobody sees it. That's
Yeah.
gonna be for next Teamstream if we can figure out how to do it. But shh, secrets. Let's get it off the screen. But yeah, like we rely on them so much, like people like Jeff and Jeremy, to just like take a sheet like this and like just start making shit up. You know, just start making stuff up.
Yep.
and using this as a launching point rather than waiting for like individual like this piece of ruin right here. Like Jeff will just go and just build this thing and it'll look a little different, but it'll look cohesive and it'll look good, and like that's cool. Like we really rely on the artists to just run with that stuff. And then here's a
That's
shot.
Sort of a work in progress. Which I'm working on right now, actually. That still has some stuff to resolve, and looks like the values are a little off right now. But
But this is what we're talking about with one of our keep maps being. This is going to be the vertical slice map that we're going to move everybody towards. All of the 3D artists are going to be working on this together. Well, I mean, we don't have that many, so when it's just like 2 or 3 people, that's like pretty much our team. They're going to be working on putting this thing together as a team, and the idea is that it will have some amount of outdoor space and then some indoor space as well inside the keep, and you'll be able to move seamlessly between them, and like that'll be the map. Cool. We'll use this for keep defense missions and then also keep assault missions. And we'll tell you more about that once we like get it locked down and everything. But this is going to be the map we're going to be trying to take all the way to sort of like an alpha state and be like, yeah, like this is, you know, we know about how many blockers we would need, you know, the different tiles. We know about how long it takes to like make the pants and do the effects and do the lighting and do the beautification pass and like all of these things. Like we'll hopefully we'll be able to answer a lot of questions about the production of these maps, so that we know how many we can make within our budget.
Brad, sorry to interrupt. I laughed out loud because the moment you brought that up, the moment it hit the stream,
Yeah.
DF Burger just chimed in, all caps, rad. Like he's just
He's
like,
into
I think he's into it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I have another quick question. I
So,
thought
yeah,
was
I'm excited about this.
really good about that ties into kind of what you were talking about, Brad, and all these environments. This comes from Under Toast, TOWST. I'm just really concerned that when I'm going to like a really name that I can't say, like a really bad one, but that's fine. I'm really curious about how these environments look when they are corrupted. How much would that change the look and feel of the area? Like we had a quick early thing you guys were looking at, show you showed earlier with that sort of it looked like fissuring, but I mean, that's heck of a challenge, right? I mean, there's like some obvious things that I would say are awesome, and you guys would be like, "Wow, thank God you're not an artist." But like, is that been a big challenge for you guys, and like, what kind of dynamic that's going to make?
We haven't figured that out yet. But
Yeah.
that's kind of why we do things like this. We do a map that's got this is not necessarily going to ship, right? It's just a map that's full of things we don't know how to do, and we'll just try and figure them out as we go.
Cool.
Yeah, and that aspect of like, yeah, it's weird. Like, would we want to have fewer regions where we have the corrupted and uncorrupted versions of the maps, or would we like to sort of like noodle the fiction a little bit so that we can have more regions and just like you actually never fight in corrupted areas? You know, I mean, I could see that one going both ways. Just because taking a map that's sort of finished and then corruptifying it might actually be a really kind of time-intensive thing. Who really knows,
we just
right?
don't know what it means at this
it's-
point, right?
it's something
it
that
might
we'll
be a
have to-
subtle thing, in which case then maybe it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
but we just
something.
don't know.
Oh,
Parrot down.
Richard. My parrot's
It's
name is
Richard?
Richard. Yeah. Is that weird? Is that a weird name for a parrot?
I
He's
know.
barely sleeping.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. Okay, cool. So, are there any more questions about that, or maybe we'll move on
Yeah, let's move on.
to our next thing? So, thank you for joining us, artists. Thank you for arting in the most fantastic way possible. I think we're making really great progress on the art, and we actually have this is I don't know, we're moving towards like this one particular region, one map that I don't know, all the work that we've done like on the tile randomization stuff and all that other, all these things are going to go into it, and then boom, we'll have a map that you can run around and play on.
I'll go
That'll be
finish the
sweet.
programmers.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
Finish up if you want to answer your question.
Henry White's on our chat channel.
Oh,
Hey,
Henry White. Thanks for backing.
Yeah.
Henry was here on Wednesday, and it was really awesome. We talked a lot about random events and how they're going to work in the game. And Paul's looking at me. I think.
Yeah, we have to wait for the tag team.
So the reason I bring that up is Jeff's in there, and he's
Yeah.
he and I are building solidarity by trying to gently grind away at you concerning the potential spaceship ending of Massive Chalice. And Henry White chimes in.
Spaceship ending? Yeah.
Henry White chimed in the Massive Chalice of Orion 2. Boom!
It's
Oh
all-
my
it's all
God!
a spaceship. Yeah. Jeff actually had a plan. I believe that this is the solid state booster. This is the Chalice is the spaceship. This is the booster, and then this is like the pod where all the people can live in. As it it's like the rocket part of it.
Brad, the moment you said that, Jeff's like, done.
He's probably modeling it right now. God,
He's been playing a lot of Kerbal Space Program
I'm
now.
seriously worried about that. But okay, cool. We're gonna jump into the build now and show you guys our progress.
Okay.
Oh wait, whoops.
DF Burger said Massive Chalice and Space Base actually exist in the same
In the
universe.
same continuum, yeah. Cool. So we're gonna launch into this. There have been quite a few changes since you guys have seen it. I think this is actually not different, but we'll get there. Okay, so going over it, this is like just our. Oh man, we're doing a scene change.
You want a
This is
costume?
Awesome.
No thanks.
Come
Do you
on,
want to take a quick break
Chad, we got costumes.
because of the? It's fine. All right, sweet. We're not gonna take a break.
Yeah.
Breaks are for
Breaks are
tools.
for the week.
I don't know. So this
Right
is
over
our
there.
this is our mock-up of the strategic map, and we have the same things where you can like go to the capital. I can't see my mouse. There we go. Like go to the capital, and you can see. Oh God, what happened? Something bad happened there. Let's try that again. That was crazy. Yeah, and that's where the Chalice will be there. Totally love going here and showing this all the time. Like the Igor
This is the
style
Chalice
advisor.
method.
It's just like really hilarious. He's gonna be going away. It'll just be the Chalice. So oh hey, look who's here. Hey, welcome Chad
Hi.
Dawson.
Hey.
Back to Teamstream, lead programmer, and also Dan McGarry, senior programmer.
Hey.
Dan, is this your first time on Teamstream?
Yeah.
Dude, welcome.
Thanks.
Hopefully people won't make fun of you on the chat.
Why would they do
Why
that?
would they do that?
I'm the one not wearing a crazy hat.
So Dan, a lot of
Ginger power
oh wait,
increased.
you need since it's
Do I
Halloween special Halloween Teamstream. You need to wear. There's some things over there
Get the Frankenstein
That you
mask.
can also-
That's
Alright,
awesome.
that you could also wear.
I can wear this one.
All right. So Dan, you've been working on.
I've been working on this part.
Retired
A lot of it you
heroes.
can't really tell. Yeah, dude, we were trying to get something done.
Look at that.
That's awesome.
So this is sort of like the initial stab at this is poking into your hero retinue.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all the heroes that you have at your disposal, and you can like actually click one of these and say, sure, retire Andy Lowe,
Andy Lowe.
and then boom.
Now you get a confirmation saying, "Are you sure?"
Oh, cool. Oh,
And
so
then what Chad and I were just doing is we're going to replace the model on the chair with your Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
awesome.
next step. Yeah.
That's the
Dude,
next
it's
step.
gonna be so good. And then, so you'll be able to retire a hero and then marry one in here to replace the partner, and that is super cool. And then, so I think if I go back in there, I won't be able to retire. That guy is officially retired.
Yeah,
Cool.
that guy. Well, it only prompts you if there's nobody retired.
Right. So like in this one, there's nobody in this one. So that's cool. That's like totally in progress. And then on the timeline, I just sped this up a lot. We're trying to get an idea of like how fast our ticks should be.
Whoa!
So I have it. So this is the epic timeline in motion.
So epic.
And,
it's
so I
ticking.
had the idea. I was really in love with the idea that like we would simulate on a daily basis. Like every day, we would simulate and tick. But just doing the math, it seems like we're probably gonna have to change that and either simulate on like a
Please
week
say Dan
level.
checked your math. I want Dan checking all math.
Well, the way I'm doing it,
Dan gave me a mathematical breakdown of like, oh, okay, if you want the demon attacks to be like
Yeah.
every 5 years or whatever, it's gonna take, we're gonna have a day will have to go by this quickly. And I was like, oh my God, we're talking about like, doing more than 30 days a second in order to make it feel good.
30 days a second actually works out to a nice round number. That's 5 years per minute of game time. So that actually, when I was doing the math with you this morning, I was like, well, that actually kind of works out pretty
and
well.
maybe it's okay. I don't know. That's what it's set to right now. I
Yeah.
set it to 30 days a minute. It ramps up quickly to that. But here, so over a year has passed, and this is my first demon attack. And like that's, I think that's like interesting, and it makes us start thinking about the game in a different way, in a way that is actually appropriate for the game. The fact that like the demon attacks are probably going to be at least 5 years apart, so that we can like really lean into the aging of the characters and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll have to play with all that, because I think that what it boils down to is just like how often things happen in real time. Like how often you're sitting there watching days go by.
Right.
Like it's like, oh, nothing's
And then-
happening.
and
Like
then
you don't
when
want
I-
that to go on for too long.
Right. And then when I go into a fight right now, it's pulling up the retinue. This is where you're
This
going to be
is-
able to swap these characters in and out as you
Well-
go into the actual fight.
We'll use that retinue, but there's going to be, I think we're going to do it where we have probably your same squad, maybe as before, or just a default load, like a default squad, and then we'll have a replace button, and then that can bring the retinue up.
Yep.
And,
I think that will be fantastic.
Yeah.
That will be
looks
awesome. And then we can
awesome.
launch into it. So we have tons of changes on the tactical layer. Like I think the first thing that we got in, Jeff got in. Shout out to Jeff if he's watching the team stream.
Oh,
he's
Jeff.
back at his desk.
Jeff's in there bottling that spaceship.
Is he?
now.
All right. Shout out to Jeff. He actually went through and did placeholder equipment and animations for all of the classes. So it's a bit random right now. Let me just click all these. That actually puts them on the grid.
Real dudes. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's.
That what happened?
Oh yeah. So
That's a naked old man.
These first 5 characters are actually the ones that we saw on the strategic layer, right?
I think so.
So
For
it's
sure.
actually taking your hero retinue and producing the first five heroes here
Yeah,
out
rooms look right.
of the first 5 ones that you have, which is cool. So you can see we don't have a caberjack here because it's all just random right now. We have we have these 2 vanguards, we have 2 alchemists, and then we have this this arbalist. And so you can see this is the first time that we're experimenting with the RPG crossbow here, and it's like
Brad, can I
pretty
interject?
ridiculously awesome.
Since you just brought up the
Yeah.
Arbalist,
Yeah.
the chat just blew up. Crunch 2600 says, "This looks so good." Watson 27 says, "Look at that Arbalist." Nazaradian says, "God damn that Arbalist."
That Arbalist,
And
yeah,
then
it's
Blues
awesome.
for Buddha says, "Check out the Ballista Zuka," which is an awesome
Oh yeah, we talked about Bozuka being the name of it, but I don't know.
Super ass. Getting a lot of love. That's good.
Oh, you
Okay,
got the
good.
name down in the right corner of the weapon? That guy?
Oh yeah. So Chad has been working on the weapon system, the movement system, the line of sight system, attacking. Tons of stuff has been going in. Action points. All this stuff has been just screaming into this thing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You can also end the turn, which will reflect. It'll quickly do the enemy turn, which actually does nothing, but it refreshes the action points on all of your heroes, and then you'll be able to move them again. So I haven't done this with a Vanguard. I'm going to move him over here, but we have. Oh, also Fog of War. So that's a big thing. David Farrell, our graphics programmer, has been working on the Fog of War, and what we're trying to do this kind of textured feel to the Fog of War, so that
So
it feels.
discombobulating.
Yeah.
It's rotating. It's
Yeah,
rotating
so-
and moving in a weird way.
So it's parallaxing in a strange way because I think it's a top-down projection, but then when you move around, you don't have a top-down perspective on the map. So it does look a little bit.
I see how it's working.
It looks a little bit off, and like we're not sure. So there are 3 states of the Fog of War. Let's just talk about this for a minute before we get back into it. I'm gonna move this guy away because all of that is unexplored territory. So I'm gonna run this guy away, and you'll see the fog creep back in, and then there's not enough difference right now, but you can see. Let me move another character away because and all the sight ranges are just programmer numbers right now.
We
They're
also
pretty good programmer numbers though. But you can see the fog creep back in, and so now this part, this might not even be coming across, but this part is significantly lower and less dense and darker. This would be to represent the places that you've seen, but you currently can't see now. Hopefully that's coming across on the
Sorry,
stream.
aren't there many terrain elements?
Yeah, there aren't a lot of terrain elements in this particular example, but we'll see if
You
we
can
can
kind
get
of
one.
see it back there, right?
Yeah, right here. You can kind of see it, like these squares, like there could be an enemy lurking in there, right? And we have to work on it too, because like right here, it's trying to ramp in and out of it. If I turn the grid on, you can see that this grid space I actually can't see, but I can see the ones on either side, and it kind of like ramps up and then ramps out, and it kind of produces this line. So that's something that we're gonna have to work on. This is an effect that we realize we're gonna have to iterate on a lot to make it look right. Work on this textured effect. I love the idea of the textured fog, just rather than having it just be straight black or straight gray or whatever you would see in a standard game. We can talk about that stuff in a minute too. Trying to give it a more like textured look that would fit the environment. There's another thing that was in Derek's concepts. I don't know if you guys remember, a long time ago, we were showing Fog of War kind of examples, and his idea that I thought was really cool. Actually, I hated it, but I was like, let's try it. Because that's the benevolent ruler that I am. I was like, I hate that, but maybe that'll look cool. And it turns out it looks really cool, is that in the dense Fog of War, if you scroll over the map, really tall objects will actually like poke out of it. So if you look at these trees, it's like you can't see the terrain at all, but you can see the tops of the trees, and you can see the top of this like
What didn't you like about that?
this
That's
big
amazing.
tower. Yeah, it's amazing, right? Dude,
Looks good.
Yeah, Brad.
Look, not, I can't be right all the time.
Fired.
Fired. Yeah, I'm gonna fire myself. Can I fire myself? Maybe I should. But like this turned out to be like super amazing, and when you scroll out over it, you get to see all
Wow,
these cool
that looks
trees
awesome.
like poking out of it. It's awesome. Also, I like how it kind of simulates like realistically you wouldn't be able to see. You know, you'd see the immediate low things around you, but like in off in the distance, you might be able to see really tall features of the terrain and stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of makes
Makes
sense. So that's cool. Anything else you want to say about Fog of War, Chad? And I actually jumped over. So right now it's actually.
I'm asking the chat for questions.
Hey, you might find a caber jack if you look around.
Oh yeah.
This map has 4 different.
It has
parties of
20
4.
dudes that are placed. So here was my original group that I was moving around, and then in this corner.
There we go.
Yeah, cool. So we can see caber jacks here.
That's got some of the new models that our intern is working on.
Oh yeah,
Oh, Frederick.
yeah, that's right.
Frederick,
Frederick
yeah.
is working on these on the weapons, and just trying to explore them a little bit.
So
and you
badass.
can actually
It's totally awesome.
see.
These little puffs of smoke. I didn't know we got that in. All right.
Oh yeah, Panya's messing around with some more effects.
I got to update skirmishes. That's
So you
awesome.
could do an attack against the demon if you
Yes.
want to try.
Let me get back to my initial group because they were closer.
Just use melee guys for now.
So the other thing that Chad has been working on, will it work with this guy? I only tested it with a caber jack at my desk.
It'll- this guy here.
And click on their base.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we just got some like placeholder hit effects that that Panya's been working on. Nice.
Panya, he does some good effects.
Whoops.
Enemy turn. Uh-oh, retaliation.
Yeah, the
That's-
AI
no, that-
has
yeah.
not been started really.
Yeah.
I really like the so this is something we're talking about is like how with hit effects it's always how Tekken do you want to go? Is how I always think about it.
Really?
Like, well, yeah, like I feel like Tekken has the most gamey hit effects of all time. Like you punch a dude and you get this red sparky thing that's like huge and it's got little sparks and whatever, and it doesn't feel like punching a guy. It just feels like a very gamey, informative, like you hit him right here kind of thing, So, but it looks like very gamey. It doesn't look very realistic or whatever.
There's
So,
another reason they do that. It's
What's
to
the other
hide
reason?
lag in multiplayer.
hide the lag. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it's a good point.
We don't have to do that though. We don't have to worry about
So
that.
yeah, so that's really cool. Like we're getting to the point where, so I feel like hit points and death will be the next thing that kind of comes in, right, Chad? And
Yep.
then,
So,
and then once we start the AI after that, we'll actually be able to play the video game like a video game. Enemies will be able to attack your heroes. You'll be able to attack them, and then you'll be able to win and lose tactical battles and come back into the strategy layer.
It's also a good test of hit reaction animations and turn.
Yep.
Because we don't have rear hit reactions, so you might want to do that too.
Right, right.
I think it works pretty well.
There's also some cool exploration of, let's see, I can turn Fog of War off, maybe. There we go. And this is pretty cool. This is some exploration that Andy and the crew have been doing. So these blends, remember the Animal Crossing stuff, you can kind of see it on the terrain. And the question is like, how geometric is too geometric? Like are these triangles like too obnoxious, or are they actually like really cool and stylized when you look at the terrain? Also, a lot of trees. Here's those awesome tuning fork trees that you saw from the concepts. Like that's super awesome. They're looking at like some like cracks in the level, and doing some like negative space as path blockers instead of just stuff that's placed on top of the flat terrain. Let me see if I can find some other stuff. Oh, I thought these trees were really awesome.
They are
in this
really
section.
awesome.
So Andy started with. Let me see. It actually starts over here. There's this line of fir trees that I think are really cool, where this one here looks kind of like a Christmas ornament, where it's like very, very stylized and abstracted. And then he starts experimenting with like different ways to break up those shapes, and you get a little bit more triangular as it goes. I really like these, which have a little more detail, like on the branches. Like you actually have these like triangular. It's super awesome looking.
Yeah, they look good.
And then he experimented with this one, like what would it look like if it were more box-like?
Wow.
So you
That's
have, like,
kind of
box-
awesome.
Yeah, I
box
like
tree.
that too.
But I feel like if you put box tree next to the cool triangular one, I think triangular tree wins. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm wrong about everything anyway. So let's see. What else do you want to talk about?
We got a couple questions for the guys.
Oh yeah.
So, so first of all, John, this one isn't a question, but I thought this is really cool. When everyone was freaking out about the Arbalist, user Fausk said, Arbalist plus Alchemist equals explosive bolts. Like if for your hybrid
Yes.
classes, just like a cool, may or may not happen, but John, I know you're always thinking about those hybrid classes down the road.
And it's awesome that a lot of those ideas about hybrids, some of them just like are immediately apparent, like what they should be. You know? And that's super cool. Those are the winners. There are others not so clear. Like we're gonna have to and we're still talking about the hybrid system and exactly how it's gonna work. And without part of it is like the complexity could really blow up. We're looking at like, okay, we have 4 core classes and we want to spend a lot of time like making them feel special and like have their own role on the battlefield and also give you options in like talent trees and whatever. But if we do a lot of work on the hybrids, man, there's just like, because there's actually, if we do A, B, and BA hybrids, you actually end up with 4 base classes and then 12 hybrid classes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a lot. It's a lot.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
3 times the number of base classes just in the hybrid system alone. So, and it's like, how unique do they have to be? I don't know. Like, that's definitely going to be something that we look at as we work on the game.
Yeah, a user Naboxo says, all caps, you haven't seen a bolt until you've seen a caber bolt. So that could be another awesome one. But no, good point, of course, and that's exactly why we're focusing on those base classes. Get the horse right before we put the cart before it. Another one.
You can do the ranged attacks, of course.
Can we spawn dudes?
So, Chad, this is kind of a question. I know, Dave, this is very graphicsy, but NGA Nikki asks, won't a fog like the one we're showing here for the Fog of War create problems with other translucent shaders on the ground or characters? Will it be alpha fighting, that kind of thing, I guess?
It depends on how we implement it. Currently, Dave Farrell, our graphics programmer, is taking that into account. He knows a lot of this stuff, like this outline effect that we're using to kind of show your range that you can move and stuff, that you want to see that through the fog and those kind of things. So I think we can address those issues, but it's something we need to keep in mind.
So we got some smart people on it.
Yeah, all of these shaders in the graphics pipeline is all customized. So I mean, he's a smart guy. He can work through those problems.
So the last question from the chat is from Massive King. What are Chad and Dan's plans for putting the AI in general and for different enemy types?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's a really big one too. So I guess what's
yeah.
your next steps? I guess maybe that might help
The
focus
first thing
that.
is, right now the AI doesn't have much on them at all. Those characters don't. They don't have hit points. They don't really know anything about their skills. So the hope is that we can kind of base their skills in a similar manner that we're doing the player skills. So really they're just like hero characters with skills, even levels and classes, kind of using the same system so that they can move around the battlefield and analyze it the same way. And then it's really starting to write in the AI of when it should use which skill, like when should it attack, when should it move. That's really the next bit on that. But first it's kind of building them up as characters. Right now they're just literally models with an animation playing on it. They don't
No brains.
They don't really know anything about themselves. So The next bit is kind of fleshing them out as characters. But we did identify that as something we want to at least address a little bit during pre-production. So it's kind of moved it up in the schedule from what we had before. So as soon as we get the character attacks kind of nailed down, I'll probably be moving on to that next month or so.
Yep.
Looking forward
Sweet.
to that.
There's also a lot of debug information that you put in. So this is actually displaying the grid. I thought this would be really cool for you to talk about, Chad, where like you just have it cycling on this F2. So F2 once just brings up the actual grid, and you're like, cool, here's the grid, awesome,
Yeah,
great.
As we're developing, we keep adding more stuff that you want to see, and it was getting a little cluttered. Particularly, this is a nice view for if you're debugging and you just know for some reason tile 1034 is coming back as blocked by line of sight, and you don't know why. You can take a look at it there.
Yeah, and you can actually find tile 1034 because it just labels them.
It's hard to know.
This next one,
This is
shows
showing
you-
your skill. So if you switch to a different guy, I think, it's kind of what we're using to draw the green outline. But you'll see there's also a yellow boxes here. And yellow boxes are currently what it would cost you 2 action points to get to. Green would cost you 1. So it's something we're kind of playing with. John played a bit of Shadowrun, and I played a bit of it too, and it kind of has a system where you can kind of see, oh, I could use 2 points to move here, or 1 to move here. I think even XCOM has something like that a little bit. Kind of playing with different ideas on how that would be. This one is for line of sight. I don't know if you guys can see the colors, but the yellow ones are ones that you can see over. The orange blockers are ones that you can't see over, but you could maybe throw a alchemist grenade. And the red ones are ones that are really high that you couldn't throw anything over. So it's just kind of a quick debug to make sure that the objects that the level builders are kind of spawning there match up with what you think for visibility.
Yeah, and this is going to be really fantastic for the level guys. Like once they place all the objects and stuff, just coming in and making sure that, you know, just double checking that it's all working, you know, everything's lining up the way it should.
This one's kind of neat. We have like 20 characters on this map, but it shows you which characters can see which tile. So where it's saying like 17, 18 there, it's saying both characters 17 and 18 have visibility to that tile.
And that's probably,
So-
this is probably 17 and this is probably 18 here.
Yeah.
These characters. So like this character can't see around that corner there,
Exactly.
but this one can.
Yep.
And that's
what
kind
it's
of cool.
showing.
So it's like, so yeah, this Vanguard over here can't see these 3 squares, but this Caberjack here can see this whole alcove, and that's cool. So for each square, you're keeping track of like who can actually see
Who
it.
can see it, right?
And
then
also,
your global, fog of war is kind of all those added together. But then individually, when a character is saying, like, if he could shoot to a tile, ranged guy, he needs to know, can I hit that tile? Can I see that tile?
Yep.
So,
And it should change over time, right? Every
Yeah,
time the
you'll see those
character
numbers
actually takes a
change.
step into a new tile, it will update. And that's really like you're laying the groundwork for something like Overwatch, for
Right.
reactive effects that can happen while the characters are moving around, so that you don't have to basically so that we can support those things in the future without completely like rewriting the line of sight system or rewriting whatever. You're, professional and you're thinking ahead, and that's, I don't know, that's good. It's good engineering happening over there, I think.
yeah.
Brad, sorry,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Somebody asked about the grid, and not all the debug information, but the grid in particular, because that's something that's been with this game that we've been showing for so long. I know this is sort of a topic, but what are your thoughts on keeping that grid in the final game? Toggleable. Yay, nay?
I'm kind of nay on it. Part of it is that like right now it's not visible enough, right? We're like smoothing out the green line of where you can go a little bit too much, and I feel like it's not as like prevalent that there even is a grid there.
Sure.
Chad has a thing on his machine that is not in this build, where when you're trying to move a guy, it's actually just showing you the single grid square that's underneath your mouse, and even just that really like kind of reinforces that there is a grid, that it's a grid-based game, and all that stuff. So it's like I want to provide enough information so that like people are not frustrated by the fact that
Sure.
they don't see the grid lines, but like not just like slap the grid on there because it's going to make it look
chessboard or.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I think it ruins the aesthetic if we just have it up all the time. Maybe if it's like if it is a problem, allowing you to like toggle it on or like hold a button to kind of bring it up. Or I know that XCOM, when you like right click and hold, they'll actually hold up the grid. So if you're like, I want to move here, you can like hold down the button and it'll like flip it on while you're holding, and then you like let go and it disappears again. Yeah, it's like I mean I would like to find a way to keep the aesthetic of the game without like having to
Pull you out of the.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally. Cool.
That's a good question.
It is, and that's.
I like
I mean,
that question.
I knew the answer. I like to share it for the community, though.
Okay, so I think these are all the tactical things that we have. Hopefully, in a couple weeks we'll have more stuff to show in terms of like characters taking damage and dying, and like being able to win, run around, find all the enemies, kill them, and then come back to the strategy layer. But we'll see. So cool. I'm gonna jump back. So I'm gonna pretend that I won this fight. Hit backspace.
Yeah, you won.
And now I'm back.
How did you do that?
Oh, that is actually the fog of war.
Okay, thanks.
So if you just force the fog of war off, it will go away.
All right.
So then I'm
I'll
going to
turn that
speed
off
up the.
automatically.
Okay. So this is the one of the other major things that we did back to the
Andy
Dan McGarry
Petty.
show. So this is our random event system, and Dan did a bunch more work on this. So this was an example event that is a chained event that we came up with. That we're not sure if this is going to be something that we ship in the final game, but it was like an example of an event that's chained and an event that can have some consequences on your party. So Andy Petty, who is one of my heroes, was having a bad day and pushed aside a commoner while walking through the capital streets. Unfortunately, that commoner didn't survive the fall and was a beloved bard besides. See, we do have bards in Massive Chalice. They're just all dead. Her family demands a trial take place immediately. So now you have a choice. You can either like give Andy Petty a chance to explain in a trial, or make a speech to sort of like try to get everybody to like just let it go. So I'm gonna. What happens if I choose the speech?
Go trial.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if you choose the speech.
It rolls a dice, and it may be successful, it may not be.
Right. But if we do the trial, then it's like, okay, now on the timeline we see that in 3 days there will be a trial. So this is something that I did not update when I made the timeline more epic.
It's okay.
I
It
think
starts slow, right?
that would have to be, I think if we were to do this for real in the game, that would be like, okay, they're gonna incarcerate the hero and they'll have a trial in 6 months.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's like, okay, like that feels appropriately epic, like whatever. And then when I hit play again, it's gonna tick down those days and I'll be able to see it. And then boom, it pops up because it was the only thing. And then it's like, apologizing profusely during the trial, Andy Petty admits to having a lot on his mind. With the war and all, how will you dispense justice? So you can actually decide like what's going to happen here, and it's like I will sentence Andy Petty to death.
Oh shit.
Boom.
And that will actually kill your hero. And your hero is now gone out of your retinue, right?
That's
Maybe
right.
if I jump in here,
I think he's
we
gone.
probably won't see an Andy Petty.
Hey,
oh,
look
this
at
is
that.
funny. I think that this actually, all those characters that it created for the thing.
Yeah, they're back in
for
here.
the tactical map actually got inserted into your thing.
That's right.
But there's no Andy
Andy
Petty
Petty.
there. Yeah. So, but and that stuff. I mean, that one's an interesting one. We're still, like I'm really glad that we tackled doing the random event system and started thinking about it because it influences the tone of the game a lot. Like, what should the tone of the game be like? What should it feel like? What are those events like?
In terms of the content.
In terms of the content, yeah. Because
And consequences.
and the consequences, yes. Like what should how dire should these consequences be? Like how random should they feel? Like we're really basing it off of a lot of what we see in FTL and King of Dragon Pass and other games that have similar systems. The bang for buck is really huge. That it's like all text. But I'm having a hard time deciding like what they should really be like.
That's true.
And I don't know. So it's something that we're going to be working on a lot and talking about a lot. And actually, Henry White, our backer that was here on Wednesday, he's really interested in this system, and I'm going to run it again. We actually put another one in that
It's great. It's a
You might
great-
get the same
great thing
one.
for a forum discussion too. We'd love to hear what they think about these kind of systems. I don't know if they'd be.
Yes.
Lots of days.
Yeah, I was saying. Sorry, I'm not mic'd. But this would be.
Keep going.
Break.
Oh, we're gonna go on a break.
Oh, we got to take a break.
Be back in